It is Mekoma for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and George Uchendu is the sports analyst that has been keeping tabs with the team and how they fared thus far in the competition. George, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this evening.
Always a pleasure being on the show, Samson.
Thank you so much. Let's run through the team now in terms of preparations. We all saw the goal they considered against, Senegal, the defending champions. There are talks about lapse in defensive concentration. You have a player running, not even behind the, defenders, but just outpacing the centre-backs, as it were, to get the goal. The goalkeeper as well confused here and there in terms of, rushing out or not. That indecisive moment really cost the team. Now, what are those changes you expect, especially tactically in terms of personnel or setups, to ensure that the Super Eagles do not repeat the mistakes we saw from the first game?
I think that, first off, this is a game that is a must-win. And I think that Congo has even done us a great one by, I think, they defeated Senegal in the game that just ended. So the momentum comes back to Nigeria. But I think that, first and foremost, if you're going to have the home-based players, especially a number of Remo Stars players in your side, then you must play according to their strength. What we saw a lot in the first game was a lot of the players being played out of position. And that meant that you were not utilizing them to their strengths, and that affected the chemistry. So we know how Eric Chell likes to play, but you must play the players in their position. I think that he might need to bring in more pace to the attack, especially through the wings. We did not see the connection amongst the wingers and the front man in the first game. And so you might need to bring in more pace on the wing so that you can take on your fullbacks and then connect with the nine, who probably would be the guy from Remo Stars playing, the big guy playing nine for the Super Eagles. More importantly, the defense must also get their concentration and their rhythm right. We saw what happened with the goal, the defense and the goalkeeper in no man's land, just being very confused. So Harcourt was brought back into the team. Probably the goalkeeper trainer isn't quite impressed with what he's seen with the other three goalkeepers that he's had to bring under 20 international Harcourt back into the side. So hopefully the defenders, the goalkeeper need to get their rhythm right. And more importantly, they must focus on the game and leave whatever distraction. It looks like they're trying to play just to impress the coach, but they must be playing to put the country in gold, and that starts with winning the match against Sudan this evening.
Okay, we know quite well that it is a very difficult group. As you said earlier, Congo are currently leading Senegal, the French champions, by a lone goal, and that makes it more tricky for the Super Eagles. It makes it a must-win game, not just getting a draw right now, but you must win this because the Congolese are the last game. And should the result as it stands at this point in time holds forth after 90-plus minutes, it means that Senegal will be on 3 points, Congo will be on 3 points, so Nigeria also has to win today. Now, you talked about Sikiri Alimi, the leading man for Remo Stars in terms of, getting the goals for them. There's also Anthony Ijoma, who starred for the team during the preseason, the pre-friendlies prior to the tournament itself. Are you looking at a switch of formation in terms of playing, two men up front, more like a 4-4-2? You talked about the wings as well. What are you looking at from the flanks in terms of personnel? Because we need pace, as you've said. More importantly, we need to be clinical in front of goal. There's no room for profligacy at this point in time. So who are those personnel you're expecting to bring about the pace you talked about, and more importantly, that clinical finishes that we expect?
We know that Sikiri Alimi, as you mentioned, is looking at how he plays in Remo Stars. He plays with a strike partner. He plays with someone who can give him the ball, who can take away defenders, who can create that space for him to wreak havoc to great acclaim, as he always does. So he will probably benefit from a partnership with Ijoma, who we saw during the pre-friendlies, who did not get a lot of goals, but I think that just to play to Sikiri Alimi's strength, we know how big and bulky the striker is. So if you have someone who can distract the defense, who can cause some disturbance for the center backs, and then create those spaces for Sikiri Alimi. As I said earlier, we have a lot of, I know the likes of Xavier Isaac is not in the team because he's had to leave the country, but I think that we still have a few wide men that are pacey. We have the guy from Ikorodu, I think he's Adelani, if I'm not mistaken, who can be brought in, who can add some extra dimension into the attack. So in the attacking midfield, I think it's been a problem both in the main team and of course in the Chan Eagles. a connection in the midfield. We seem to have a lot of defensive-based midfielders and not attack-minded midfielders that can string those passes and open spaces up for the forward guys to go for. So it's a lot of, I think it's a headache that Eric Chell has to really sort, because the Sudanese, from the clips I have seen from them, are a very organized side. They are a side that they are led by Kwesi Appiah, the Ghanaian, who has led them to really good results. Their midfield is a very compact midfield, and they have the synergy and chemistry that they are able to use to interlink those passes and cause danger for the sides they face. So Eric Chell really has to get his team back on board. He's talked about intensity. He's talked about aggressiveness. But if you have the intensity and aggressiveness without that technicality and that guile, then it will be a situation where we are just working hard and not working smart.
George Uchendu is still very much on the show. George, again, you know, the players really have a whole lot of expectations, not just from 200 plus Nigerians, 200 million plus Nigerians, but the coaching crew. Everyone is really breathing down their neck at this point in time to really get the job done. Final words, really, you've seen the players and how relaxed they are, yet they know what's at stake for them to really get going against Sudan. What do you expect from the team, and how do you think we navigate the tricky waters that the Sudanese would, you know, push for us at this point in time?
I think we have a very good chance of getting the maximum 3 points against the Sudanese. Not one of the toughest sides that we face. I mean, we face Senegal, defending champions. Congolese are another very strong side. So if there is a side we can't get results, I think that the guys know what is expected of them. I expect that from minute one, they will come out guns blazing.
Okay.
Expect that they will get goals, the necessary number of goals that would give us the maximum 3 points that we need.
Okay, we'll just leave it at that and wish the Super Eagles the very best in terms of, you know, the match against Sudan. It is a must-win for them at this point in time. Remember, I said the Congolese are 1 goal up against defending champion Senegal with about 75 minutes played thus far, and that makes the group even more tricky, or trickier rather, than what we all anticipated when the draws were made. George Uchendu is still very much with us. Isaac has 3 years left on his contract. That's a whole lot. It's not a year and a half or 6 months where you could really, you know, wiggle around it. 3 years is a whole lot. Newcastle, on the other hand, they've been frustrated. They've had Wilson Callum leave, no replacement. They chased Etikete, couldn't get him. Sesko ignored them from Manchester United. A whole lot of players have really ignored Newcastle United despite UEFA Champions League football, or European football as you want to call it, being on offer for them. So where does this leave Newcastle United, Isaac, and possibly Liverpool, who may just need a striker?
It's a very complicated situation. The truth is the negotiating power is on Newcastle. As you said, 3 years still left on his contract. He is pretty much keeping an unhappy player as much value as they can get, while hoping that they can get 1 or 2 deals. But I hope that Newcastle and Isaac can just find a way and then get Liverpool to pay the value, or get another club, a bigger club. Maybe if the Saudi guys come calling with 200 million, I mean, you would have no choice than to leave. But overall, it's not a nice situation, and it's not a nice thing for a player to do against your employers, because these are the people paying the bills. These are the people who have contracted you. You must treat them with some certain level of respect.
Like Isaac, like Ademola Lookman, it is definitely a transfer saga unfolding at this point in time. The transfer scene or the transfer windows comes with dramas and intrigues. It's just, you know, difficult to see, especially if you're a fan of either the player or the club. George Uchendu, sports analyst, thank you so much for your time on the show this evening.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.